You focus on what he says in his word concerning the situation you are facing. When you face it from that perspective, then something happens. He maintains you in perfect peace. Maintains you in perfect peace. Then you can now speak to that circumstance, right? Good morning. Now let's listen to and watch and focus on some of the things that were said yesterday. Some of the voices are not the most beautiful voices you've ever heard. They are not like the Lord's voice. When he speaks, he brings peace. Like these missing voices have documented a total of 159 cases of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearance in 2024. Out of the 159 cases, 104 were incidents of police-related brutality, while 55 were those of enforced disappearances. 2024 marked the year that the coalition recorded the highest number of cases of enforced disappearances. And now, before then, that is in 2019, had the highest number of cases of enforced disappearances at 38. Now, 2024 saw an increase of 24% of cases of enforced disappearances and police killings compared to 2023. Enforced disappearances increased by 450% from 10 cases in 2023 to 55. Most cases of extrajudicial killings took place during the Gen Z demos between June and August, with June recording the highest number of cases at 38. 11th July cases and 9th of August bring police killings to 58 during the protest.
The report comes with a sharp increase of the extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, demonstrating a worrying trend of state-sponsored intimidation and suppression. When you get those kind of torture, when you get those kind of killings coming out as state-sponsored, it should be something that should be worrying to every one of us.
Out of the 60 deaths, actually, as we are speaking now, 22 files have been completed. 22 have been completed, and there's actually a files with DPP for murder, for manslaughter against police officers. And so it's up to the DPP now to fast track reading those files and making a decision on those 20 files, which are actually now, 22 files, which are with the DPP.
Now that's a sad situation. You know, when you force somebody, you force the death of somebody and you torture people, you really don't get away with it. You never do. Because at times you may get away, with it here on earth. Nobody saw you, so you don't get punished here. But don't forget, there is a world that is more real than this world. And its judgment and consequences are eternal. So you may escape the temporal ones, but you won't escape the eternal ones. Now, senators yesterday did not hold back against National Treasury CS John Mbadi for missing a scheduled appearance at the Senate, as has been the norm for members of the cabinet. Led by ODM Senator Edwin Sifuna, the CS was blasted for disrespecting Parliament as an institution when he called upon to shed light on the progress of the economy. Other senators in the House also said the mannerism by some of the cabinet members to skip drilling has become common, and it's becoming a worrying trend.
These people are supposed to be technical people. The people who should accompany the president are governors, senators, members of parliament. These are the people who should be there on the ground. What do these people do? And the fact is, whenever the president is not there, they don't go to those places. You don't see them doing official things. You don't see them opening the TVETs and doing this kind of thing. It is a high disrespect for this country to stand. We approved you as a cabinet minister for Kenya, and then you come and tell us about your rural projects.
Mheshimiwa, ni dhahiri shahiri kwamba hali si nzuri hapa Kenya, na kila mara sisi ambao tuko mrengo wa serikali tunawatetea, tunatunga sheria, tunakaa hadi usiku wa manane kuhakikisha kwamba sheria tunazotunga zinaweza kuboresha maisha ya wananchi. Lakini hatuwezi kesha hivyo, alafu yule tumempa mamlaka na nafasi ya kuamrisha jinsi fedha zitatumwa anatupiga teke. Hatuwezi bembelezana hivyo, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, if there is a problem with the CS, that CS must account to Parliament as an institution, not even to their political parties or this thing monster they are calling broad-based. It doesn't exist in my view. So, Honorable Speaker, yesterday I saw at night, just before the game between Inter Milan and Barcelona began, I saw the CS of Treasury on Citizen TV. He has time to appear before Citizen TV, but he has no time to appear before this House. I refused to watch that interview and switch to the football match because I was expecting him here. The conversations that are important to me from that CS are the ones that happen here.
Clever by a half, in the sense that his excuse was he was attending cabinet. And you can see he was not in cabinet. He was in a rally. If this parliament is not going to rise, let me tell you, what is happening in the broad-based government is not going to be any different with what we saw in the Grand Coalition. Once people who have been opposing each other come together, Mr. Speaker, in the executive, it is Parliament that can call them to order.
You know, there's something I like about the Nairobi Senator, Edwin Sifuna. I mean, I think for the first time he's projected himself as a very mature politician, in the sense that he's going against the grain. He stands for what he believes. He's not afraid to speak it out. He just tells it like it is. Like in this particular case, he's staring into a member of ODM who has decided to go against what is expected of them. And this is what we need. This is the kind of politics that we need in this country, where people stand for what is right. Now, a requiem mass for the slain Kasipul MP Ongondowere was held yesterday at the Consolata Shrine in Nairobi. The service was attended by top government officials, members of parliament, and parliamentary staff to pay their tributes. Leaders present called for speedy investigations to bring the perpetrators to book. After the service, the body of the slain lawmaker was flown to Kasipul for public viewing, which will take place today, ahead of his burial tomorrow at his rural home. Ongondo will be buried tomorrow, as I said, in Kachien village, Kasipul constituency.
All we want is justice for Dad. I know there are 4 suspects that were apprehended, but we not only want to know the people who did it, we also want to know the people who sponsored it, the people behind the scenes, the people calling the shots.
I want to encourage each one of you to submit back your security details for vetting, for us to get to know what kind of security you have. Kikulacho kinguone mwako.
Kwa sababu mtu ambaye angepiga risasi 5 kwa mpigo na askari aliye ndani ya gari asirudisha hata moja, lazima tujiulize nini. Lazima tuambiwe ni nani, sababu gani. Hata kama mmekosana na mtu kivipi, tafadhali wacha kuua yeye.
Haiwezi kufika wakati ambapo tunasherekea wakati misiba inapata mwenzako. Tunataka kuomba msamaha kama viongozi iwapo tumefanya ama kutenda ama kusema lolote ambalo limepelekea wananchi wa Kenya kutuona ni kama kwamba sisi sio wamoja na nyinyi.
Now, over to Narok, where President William Ruto has issued title deeds and in Narok and surrounding areas to resolve long-standing land disputes and foster peace and coexistence. The Edo State said the goal is to ensure Kenyans live in harmony and focus their energies on making meaningful contribution to nation building. President Ruto's remark during the handover of title days residents of Olonkolin as he launched the Narok County 2.5 billion last mile electricity connectivity project, which will connect 15,000 households to power.
Nimekuja hapa kwa sababu ya mambo ya stima. Mumeona hapa nje tumeanzisha stima leo ya kupeleka stima kwa manyumba ya wananchi mashinani. Wananchi wengine familia 15,000 zitaunganishwa stima, na tumeweka pesa ya serikali bilioni 2.5 kuhakikisha kwamba stima inafika kwa manyumba ya wananchi, kwa sababu stima sio starehe ya matajiri, ni haki ya kila mwananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya. Sisi hasa mimi kama kiongozi wa taifa hii nimeamua ya kwamba hatutaki tena siasa ya ukabila na chuki na migawanyiko. Ndio sababu hiyo nikaunda serikali ya broad based, kuleta wale tuliopiga kura na wao na hata wale hatukupiga kura na wao tuungane, kwa sababu umoja ni nguvu. Tunataka tuunganishe watu wote wa Kenya. Ndio
na hiyo mambo yote ambayo imefanyika, ambayo inafanyika sasa na ambayo itafanyika, lazima tuipatie kipaumbele. Hatuwezi kuwa taifa la kupiga campaign kutoka Januari mpaka Disemba, kutoka uchaguzi mmoja mpaka uchaguzi mwingine. Na mimi naomba tukubaliane ya kwamba sisi tutakuwa kwa kazi, wale watu wanapiga siasa waendelee na mambo yao. Tunakubaliana jambo ya...
Na mumeamua. Mumeona jana pande ile ya Narok. Mumeona watu wameamua. Na wamesema 2027 tunachagua nani? William Samoei Ruto wakiwa na Kindiki. Sawa sawa. Mambo ya ukabila si nimemaliza hapa Narok.
At least watu wa Narok wapate stima. Now Malindi residents in Kilifi County braved the chilly weather and turned up in large numbers to defend the National Government Constituency Development Fund and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, saying they have greatly benefited them. The Legal Counsel in the National Assembly, led by Lynette Otieno, joined NGCDF Coast Regional Coordinator Stella Kayo and Malindi NGCDF Fund Manager Johnson Karanja in guiding members of the public on how to present their views in writing.
The establishment of an independent committee at constituency level headed by the Deputy County Commissioner, who has no political interest, to handle and implement projects that has been agreed in public participation. Develop the funds to sub-location and village levels. Number 3, separate funds for bursaries, channel to schools, and allow free and compulsory education. 4, the MPs totally delinked from controlling these funds. MPs remain with the constitutional mandate of oversight, legislation, and representation.
Hii pesa imetumika kuweaponize the fund, ambapo wenye huegemei kwa mjumbe, wewe unakuwa wanakutoa hewa, hauna sauti. So the fund is not serving the whole community fairly. There is no equity about this fund.
Ilipoanza walipatiwa MPs wajumbe kuja kuwa wale kamati ya ofisi. Kwa hivyo hawana namna ya kuongea ama hawana ruhusa kupinga yale mjumbe amesema, kwa sababu tumeambiwa mjumbe ndio patron, lakini kindani yeye ndio ana run the show.
Mjumbe wetu yeye amesaliti watu walio wachache, na hiyo bill mimi ninapinga kama mama, kwa sababu mtoto mpumbavu ndio mzigo kwa mama.
Wengi wameumia wako nyumbani wasome kwa sababu wewe umekemea sehemu zingine. Kwa hivyo mimi naomba kwamba mambo ya basari iende kwa Ministry of Education, watoto wasome free kutoka nursery mpaka university.
CDF imeanza, lakini kule kwetu nafikiria tunaongea juu ya CDF na sisi hatujui maana yake. Ya kwanza, kwa sababu CDF yenyewe imekuwa managed by one individual na imekuwa ni property ya one family, ili hii pesa ya NGCDF irudishwe na ikawanywe katika ile wizara inayosimamia wizara zingine.
Now, I don't know about you. What do you think about NGCDF? I think that for the first time I can support the members of parliament on this. I know this, the court said that I know there's a school of thought that says that this is supposed to go to basically the county government so that it can be moved, so that all devolved funds can be operated from one source, and that is the county government headed by the governor. Now, on paper, that makes a lot of sense. On paper, it truly does. But the situation on the ground is completely different in this sense. The governors have been misappropriating funds. The more money they're given, the more they're misappropriating. At least with the CDF, we are seeing what the members of parliament are doing. We can see it on the ground. Once that is taken into the county government, it will completely disappear as governors pay some of their friends who basically they've given tenders to for work. So I support NGCDF. I know it's not a very popular statement, but I do support. And this is also some of the sentiments that came out of the same.
Wakazi wengi kutoka maeneo bunge ya Kabuchai na Sirisia wakiongozwa na Peter Wanyama pamoja na Joan Masaka wameelezea kuwa hazina ya ustawishaji maeneo bunge chini ya usimamizi wa wabunge utawezesha matumizi mazuri ya kifedha za umma na kuleta maendeleo zaidi katika maeneo hayo.
Tu kama mimi wa chini Joan ni kutoka Msoho ndio nifikie mheshimiwa.
All right, sorry about that. Now, traffic was temporarily disrupted on the Webuye-Bungoma highway after workers of the Nzoia sugar factory protested the privatization of the company until the national government pays them the debt they owe. The angry workers carried placard while singing songs denoting leaders from Bungoma County, calling them traitors who contributed to the industry's miseries. They lit bonfires in the middle of the road in Bukembe Market, a situation that forced police officers to intervene and take control of the situation.
Tunatai miezi 30 ambaye hatujalipwa mpaka sasa. President Ruto amekuja hapa mara kwa mara akatuakiza mashini, lakini mpaka sasa hakuna. Na wapunge wetu wote kutoka Western wamekuwa watu wakora, wametutanganya mara kwa mara, hata hakuna ule mtu yoyote ambaye anaangalia masilahi yetu.
Tuko na uchungu sana kusimama hapa siku ya leo tukiambiwa jana ya kwamba wanalipa mwezi mmoja alafu kampuni Raya anachukua. Ni uchungu sana, tumeteseka. Siji politicians wetu mulienda wapi? Kama mko na kitu kwa mdomo ambayo mmekula jasho yetu, tafadhali mtuambie. Tumefanyia kampuni zaidi ya miaka 3 bila mshahara.
Government of Kenya want to intimidate the work of those sugar company. Yes. Mr. President told us that he was coming to bring us a new modern machine in those sugar company. Yes. We want new modern machine. Yes. And we want workers to be paid. Yes. We must come with a new modern machine. Yes. For it to be president of 2027.
Walikuwa wanaomba kura. Walituagiza ya kwamba wataleta mili mpya. Mili mpya yao imekuwa Rai. Sisi hatujakataa, isipokuwa Rai anatulipa madeni yetu, tuende nyumbani ni kama anachukua pesa yetu. Alafu anakatalia hata kulipa wafanyakazi.
Kuweza kufanya kazi, wakulima lazima walipe.
Mimi naunganika na yeyote yule ambaye anasema wakulima lazima walipwe. Kitu cha pili, wafanyikazi lazima walipwe. Kwa sababu ukitaka hiyo factory iweze kufanya kazi, lazima wafanyikazi walipwe, kwa sababu hao ndio wanachunga pesa za wakulima. Na kitu cha tatu ambacho tunasema na tutaendelea kusema, lile shamba la Nzoia halitaweza kutoka kwa mikono ya serikali ya kaunti ya Bungoma. That land must remain government property, it remain government land. Yule mwekezaji ambaye anataka kukuja huko lazima ahakikishe kwamba wakulima wamelipwa, wafanyikazi wamelipwa, na hakika tunabadilisha uchumi wa sehemu hiyo.
Now this is a very interesting story. You know, you look at the Njiri, you know ants, what we call the Njiri. You look at them and you think, things I can step on, worthless stuff. Now, a Kenyan court has sentenced 4 men to 1 year in prison or pay a fine of $7,700 for trying to smuggle thousands of live ants or the Njiri out of our country. The 4 suspects, 2 Belgians, a Vietnamese and a Kenyan, were arrested last month with 5,000 ants at a guest house in western town of Naivasha. They had pleaded guilty to the charges and told the court that they were collecting the highly sought after ants as a hobby and didn't think it was illegal. But delivering the sentence on Wednesday, the court said the particular species of ant collected was valuable and they had thousands of them, not just a few.
I find that Lonnie and Seppi pleaded guilty on the day of plea. They have accrued benefits to the court, and particular saving judicial time, which is a scarce resource in the judiciary. Section 95C of the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act has a mandatory minimum fine for this offense. Lonnie and Seppi have shown remorse and plead with the court for a chance to put this case behind them and move on with their lives. Sentencing, please stand. Lonnie and Seppi, please stand. In conclusion, Lonnie and Seppi are sentenced to pay a fine of 1 million each. In default, they will each serve 12 months in prison. Sit down. Sit down. There are 14 days right of appeal, return of exhibits. Upon payment of the fine or completion of the prison term, whichever comes first, and if there is no appeal lodged within 14 days, the personal items produced in Exhibit 1B belonging to Lonnie and the personal items produced in Exhibit 1C belonging to Seppi to be returned to each of them respectively by the investigating.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening in the newspapers. The Standard, Aki. Whoever is doing the headlines in the Standard needs to be bought a soda or something. I don't know. I don't know whether it's coming out of, I don't know what's giving birth to this, but bro, the Standard today says, lies getting bigger. Yeah? President William Ruto's claim of meeting a man who died in 2017 was yet another eyebrow-raising entry in his growing anthology of alternative facts. Whether the president is an eager disciple of Joseph Goebbels' infamous doctrine, the greater the lie, the more likely it's to be believed, or simply prone to the occasional imaginative detour, remains anyone's guest either way. The nation's patience is wearing thin. And then here, as President Ruto said, we have the Cheluget farm that has caused us troubles for so many days. Now, let me tell you about the land. We have called Cheluget, sat down with him, and we have agreed that we will buy the farm as a government, and those in there will continue living there. Now, Cheluget died in 2017. Maybe they met in the spirit somewhere, you know. We are told to walk in the spirit. Then abductions rise by 450% as police impunity deepens. This according to a report that I read for you earlier. Then conclave begins as world waits for new pontiff. And then the presidents left confused as Ruto's promises contradicts facts and ruling. And then Ruto walks a tightrope as anxiety grows over IEBC appointments. Then Kenya Kwanza's pet project post slow growth in ailing economy. Then Inter Milan seek Champions League final redemption. The Star newspaper. Will Matiang'i's past hurt 2027 dream? I doubt it. Reason, precedent. I was thinking about this headline and I thought, okay, I remember President Kenyatta's track record and past was worse than this. He became president. President William Ruto's past was equally bad and worse than this. He became president. Will this past hurt Matiang'i? I think right now, just speaking it plain, I think we have so many people who are angry against the government. Some rightly so, some wrongly so. Majority of people blame the president for the problems they are facing at home, even the fights they are having with their wives. In fact, some of them are blaming President William Ruto's for the fact that they are unable to get children, meaning they are blaming the president for anything. And so the president will go to 2027 if the status quo remains as a very unpopular person, because the economy is shrinking, very many people are suffering, and when people start suffering, they look for a scapegoat. And in this time, they've gotten the president as the scapegoat. And then, well, let's just say that he made promises that have not been kept, and he's been tagged as a lying president. And that is a tag that is going to take a very long time before he's able to wriggle himself out of. So in 2027, if the status quo remains as is today, if the president is unable to shake whatever is happening, then it will be very easy for him to be unseated, because it will be like 2002, where whoever came, even if we had gotten there, Alan, our camera person, would have been the president. I mean, people were just looking for a way to get rid of the late President Daniel Arap Moi. And I think that kind of sentiment is running deep in the country. Remember, mtu aligonga president na kiatu, just to show you where we are coming from. So will Matiang'i's past hurt 2027 dream? I don't think so. Then we have the story of the ants. The Belgian traffickers fined 1 million and will be deported. And then we got a story here, bailout mess, how state and entities milk 1.2 trillion dry. Hizi ndio vitu zinakasirisha watu. Treasury access MPs 7 billion controversial budget raise. And then the back page, bring on Rabat. Who is saying that? Wanyonyi Chebet. Wanyonyi and Chebet tipped to rule the 4th Diamond League that is coming soon. And then we have mystery of call to MPs GERD before killing. At about 2:40 p.m., Kasipul MP Charles Were's aide received a call from a newly registered mobile phone number. Hours later, the MP was shot dead at Ngong Road. This recent caller has interested detectives. Then Kangata, my governor, is on the spot after staff post as air crash victims' relative. Hey, and they were paid. Walilipwa na Ethiopian Airlines, yet they didn't have relatives. Mbadi, experts spur of a tax shake-up in Finance Bill 2025. Devolution Department's budget rises fivefold to 8 billion. Then lawyer, missing banker, and 1.5 billion Equity Bank heist. Where? That's a lot of money. And then we have senior counsel friend Ngatia wants the administration of St. Mary's School, Nairobi, stopped from implementing a project that he says is interfering with his property. Where? But the property, Manenos, ex-MP dumps Gachagua for Uhuru and bets on Ruto. And then the Nation, Kenyan hit woman Nanjala running riot in Morocco. You see, I always knew Cynthia Nanjala had some talent. Oh, anyway, this is not Cynthia. This is a lady, she's a forward. And my goodness, this girl is good. She is really, really good. Really good when it comes to football, that is. Nice. It's good at least somebody is representing the country and doing it positively. All right? We bring the curtains down on the show at 9 a.m. We're going to have Your Faith today, looking at how you can strengthen your faith, build your faith, and how you can be able to build fellowship. We'll have some worship, and then at 2 p.m., Manukato comes in. Sindio? Saa tuendelee kuwatch.